Greetings, brave adventurers! My name is FoxyBard, and I've come to you today with a story of my own history with TTRPGs. Now, this is going to be very unscripted and off the cuff, just me recounting my own memories of my times playing TTRPGs and how I came to be the fox you see before you. I have no idea how long this is going to be, but judging by how long I usually talk, buckle up, we'll be here a while. I guess you can kind of think of this as like a podcast, even though it's not. I guess it sort of is. You can do podcasts on YouTube. Whatever, call this a podcast. That works for me. But our story begins back when I was in high school, somewhere around the 2007 mark. One of my friends got a Star Wars Saga Edition core rulebook, and I was hooked immediately. I read it all the way through, and I thought it was the coolest darn thing ever. I even foolishly tried my hand at making my own TTRPG. I abandoned it because I realized, that's way more work than I want to put in right now. But it planted the seed that would become more. The Saga edition of the Star Wars RPG was a D20. It was basically D&D 3, but Star Wars, with, some changes, some flavor, some balancing, different classes, races, that kind of stuff. But that was it. I was hooked. From there on out, I would forever be doomed, or blessed, to enjoy TTRPGs for the rest of my life. Except when I went to college, the first time. I've actually been to college twice, and I haven't graduated any of those times. Just college is nonsense, don't worry about it. I was too obsessed with video games when I was in college the first time, so that's pretty much all I did. Plus, I didn't know anyone who played any TTRPGs at the time, so I never really got into them there. But after college, sometime around the 2012 mark, 2011, one of those, that is when I received the Pathfinder core rulebook. And, the rest is history. I read that thing cover to cover multiple times. I was so obsessed. I wanted to play it, and nobody I knew how to play it, so I decided that I would run games. So I gathered up a bunch of like-minded friends, and we bungled our way through trying to do campaigns. It was a mess. I had no idea what I was doing. It turns out I was worse at remembering the rules than I thought, because practice is a little better for remembering things than just reading. But it got me going, and I truly do think I was lucky for those games and my early players to be so understanding. There was not so much a falling out, everyone just kind of grew apart. But I did use a homebrew setting for those games, and I continue to run games in that setting to this day. It's been updated and expanded upon, and, had some of the less good elements cut out of it as I've learned and experienced more about the world itself. But I think if I dug around in my drawers somewhere, I could find that original hand-drawn map. Because you gotta remember, this was like 2011, 2012. There were not very many easily, readily available mapping tools online. Certainly not for free. Certainly not on the budget of a college dropout. No way. So yeah, spiral notebooks. It was a spiral notebook with a bunch of scribbled in things and just notes and settings and all of that in just like pencil. I tried to overdo it in pen and it never stuck because writing on pencil with pen doesn't. The point is, it was a wild time. There was no one had ever heard of anything remotely close to D&D Beyond or any comparable thing. Hell, it was hard enough just to get character sheets because unless you had a scanner, you weren't going to get them from the back of the book, and good luck finding readily, easily available PDFs online. That was a nightmare at the time. So you recorded all your character stats on a sheet of paper. Like, just, again, spiral notebook paper. You write down all your stats, you write down your rolls, just all of it. It was a wild time. Oh, thinking back, it really makes me happy for all the tools we have now and how easy it is to do that kind of stuff just offhand on the internet without effort. It's great. But yeah, that first group was less a group and more just a gaggle of friends hanging out, drinking beer, that kind of stuff. Maybe some bad role-playing in there. It wasn't until around 2013, 2014, somewhere in that area, that I met what would be my first long-term group. And I played with them for several years, had some very good campaigns. There's a lot of good stories that I have told on this YouTube channel from that group, especially the ones about that one particular Kingmaker campaign, the one where I accidentally stopped a war with one spell and skipped 2 source books, and then the one where I became the lesbian queen of the Fae. Both of those were incredible stories, and it was a lot of fun for a lot of years. Well, a few years. 2 or 3, somewhere in that area. During that time is also when I tried out some of the earlier editions of Dungeons & Dragons. Like, one of the people from that group had 3.5, as well as 2nd edition, AD&D 2nd edition, and some World of Darkness books. I still have a few of those, actually. I have Changeling the Dreaming, the original print run, and Mage the Ascension, and a few splat books for Mage. I haven't played them, unfortunately, but I've read some of them. I should read more of them. Oh, this was also my first chance to be a player in Pathfinder. And let me tell you, a forever DM finally being given the chance to be a player, I feel for you, because that was me, and it was so different. It was so nice to not have to worry about literally everything for once. So of course I start with a wizard, just make things complicated with a bunch of spells to keep track of and all these other things and variables and all this stuff. It's fine. I was good at it. I liked wizard. Ooh, random tangent, but I actually started playing basically that same wizard, or at least the evolved version of that same character, recently in a new campaign. This time it's the Mummy's Mask adventure path, so she's going to Osirian, and that's been, well, she got downed by a crit, but she didn't die, so it's fine. Her and her 5 health are fine. Elves get -2 con, and I needed to make up for a lot of skills, so I have a lot of wisdom and charisma too. It's not my fault. It sort of is exactly my fault, but it's fine. But in that same group, we went through several things. Oh, including an old school meat grinder campaign, where not only is it likely that you will die, it's expected that you will die, and die a lot. In fact, we had a player death, or more than just one, almost every single session. Like, the module has space at the back of the book to write the names of deceased characters, because of how deadly it is. It was called Raponathuk, and honestly, it was a lot of fun, because we knew going in, none of these characters are going to last very long, so we didn't get attached, and it was a great way to demo and try out new character builds, and that's sort of how we all interpreted it. So that was actually really probably the thing that made me such a character builder, is that. It was called Raponathuk. I highly recommend it. Just know, your players will die, and they will love it. But, of course, you all know how this story ends. We eventually had a little bit of a falling out. See, because up until this point, I was still in my egg phase. I hadn't realized that I was trans yet. And then I came out. And rather than recount the entire story here, I'm just going to link to it in the cards up top. Look for those if you want to recalling of the story. It's a shame. I thought the group was good, and sometimes people show their true colors when you least expect it. And unfortunately, that did lead me to taking kind of a hiatus from TTRPGs for about a year. That time was filled up with a lot of playing of especially MMORPGs online, which there were some similar kinds of things happening there, especially because, role-playing groups or guilds would have systems that were reminiscent of the D20 systems, but not anywhere near as sophisticated, obviously, because you sort of can't in something like an MMO. There's not the groundwork for that, but it still kept my interest alive. Which brings us to, I think we're at around 2016 now? Oof. We're getting there, friends. As a springboard from these MMORPG groups, there were some people who wanted to try running RPGs. Like, real ones, not just in the game. And that was when I was first really introduced to Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. And oh boy did I hate it! Oh wow did I hate it so much. It felt like it was about 10 steps backwards and about 30 steps simplified. That doesn't make sense. That's not how that works. Whatever. The point is, they cut off its feet and then tried to sew little ant legs instead. These metaphors do not make sense. Okay. How long have I been talking? Only 12 minutes? Okay. But it was also around this time that I tried the Fantasy Flight Games version of the Star Wars RPG, which was really cool. The only thing I didn't like about it was that you needed special dice for it, which is unfortunate. Like, yes, you can do an analog with your regular dice and just assign each number a corresponding thing that's on the special dice, but that's adding extra steps and, which is a shame. It was a cool game, it just, that one little aspect annoys me just enough that I never really fully committed to it. But then, around 2017, I think, this is all very, I don't know exact dates because my memory is not fantastic, not helped by ADHD and multiple sclerosis, both of which can affect memory, so I'm just guessing. I figure it was about 2017. That's when I returned to DMing. A friend of mine had just opened up a local game store, and in addition to agreeing to be a judge for him for Magic the Gathering, because I had just gotten my level 1 judge certification before Wizards of the Coast killed the judge program by making it pay to... That's a different rant for another time. We're not going to get into it right now. But yes, I was doing magic judging for him, and since I was at the shop all the time, I decided that maybe I'll run some Pathfinder games there, and there was definitely interest. My partner at the time and 3-4 of my friends from the game store were all players, and they had a lot of fun. It was, again, in that same homebrew world, but significantly more advanced, and time had passed, and I let the events of the previous game matter, because I like it when a previous campaign actually has an impact on a system, on a world. So just know, if you ever play in one of my games, your actions will have impact on the broader world around you, and will be acknowledged in future campaigns, because I don't want it to be otherwise. And it was fantastic. I came up with several new and, in my opinion, innovative ways to run the game and make it easier for everyone to keep track of things and still do paper sheets, in-person play. I went to a Home Depot, or was it Lowe's? I can't tell the difference. And I got a sheet of whiteboard. I had them cut it into 1 foot by 1 foot squares, and then I passed that out to every one of my players to keep notes during sessions, keep track of HP, to doodle on if they really want to, and it was remarkably good. I highly recommend it. Please, steal my idea. It cost about $12 to do, and absolutely made running the game so much smoother, so much easier, and every single player liked it. There was a competition over which color of dry erase markers they were going to use, though, so be aware of that. Hell, the only thing that caused that campaign to stop was COVID. When it's over, I might look at getting it running again, but I don't know how likely that is, considering the shop had to close, and I'm not sure where everyone in that group went, and this stupid pandemic has just ruined everything, hasn't it? But at that same shop is also where I got to try out Shadowrun for the first time. It's one that I've always had an interest in, because I really do like cyberpunk as an aesthetic, and no, Cyberpunk 2077 is terrible. You're not going to convince me otherwise. Don't try. But Shadowrun was this perfect merger of fantasy and cyberpunk, and it was so much fun. I loved playing in that campaign, which was also shut down by the pandemic. Yeah. But in addition to that, there was also a Pathfinder 2nd Edition campaign, which was the first time I got to try that out. And yeah, it's really good. Pathfinder 2 is almost as good as Pathfinder 1. There are some aspects of it that are definitely better, but there are some aspects of it that are definitely worse. And that opinion has not really changed. I still like First Edition a little bit better. Maybe that is nostalgia talking and familiarity, but there are aspects of it that I do think work better for the type of player that I am, even though there are things in Pathfinder 2nd Edition that I will admit are absolutely genius works of game design. And I'm getting distracted. But yeah, like I said, then COVID hit, and the shop had to close down. So that meant no more in-person TTRPGs, and no more in-person Magic the Gathering either, or very, very limited in-person Magic the Gathering. Which means, Roll20 time, baby! And would you believe it? My current RPG group sprung up from, originally, one of those MMORPG offshoot D&D 5e campaigns. It was a great campaign. The reason I stuck with it was not for the system, but because I loved the campaign. This is the one where I married a succubus and became the goddess of magic. Don't worry about it. It was fantastic. Also, I have to mention, the final boss in that campaign was a literal dragon in a literal dungeon. So we actually had Dungeons and Dragons. Suck it, nerds. But every player who played through that campaign till the end, except for one actually, is still a part of my TTRPG groups to this day. We take turns DMing, and actually there's like 3 campaigns between us all that are running simultaneously, sort of. 1 or 2 are on hiatus. It's complicated. But it's this core group of friends, and we all play RPGs together, and it's so much fun. And almost all of it is over Roll20. Some of it's over Foundry. One of my friends, I think their dad has a Foundry subscription that he lets them use. I believe that's it. And Foundry's really cool. There's, well, honestly, not that many issues with it. If Foundry was free, then absolutely I'd be doing Foundry. But it was in this time that I really, really started to become all in on TTRPGs. They'd been a big part of my life before, and I loved them, but I hadn't quite gone all in until now. And then I did, and I don't regret a single bit of it. TTRPGs now make up probably the majority of my hobby time. That's a mixture of TTRPGs and Magic the Gathering. I also really like Magic the Gathering. If you want to talk about Magic the Gathering with me, please join my Discord server. We play Commander all the time over webcam, and it's so much fun. Crazy decks. I win more often than I probably should, but here we are. I think what I'm getting at is I love my group, and I wouldn't trade them for the world. Not a single one of them. I want to keep all of them. And possibly grow and expand it to some new players as well. One recent acquisition is actually a certain Critical Kunik who, well, okay, that game is on hiatus, but it's a lot of fun, and his character's ridiculous. I love him. And no, it's not Dice Goblins, it's my friend group, and Kunik was just like, oh, I can play too in Pathfinder 2. He really wanted to try it, and he likes it, so hey, ask him about it sometime. He'll tell you about his nonsense of a monk. Which brings us to 2021. When I started this YouTube channel, I know if you look on my About page, it says I joined in 2010. That's literally just when I first made a YouTube account. It's not when I started the channel. My first video was released on April 5th of 2021. Wow, I'm almost coming up on a year. Ooh! And obviously, that's been a lot of my focus, especially TTRPG-related focus, to this day, because here we are. Here I am, telling you about me playing RPGs, and why I feel I have any amount of authority to speak about them. I don't, but thank you all for listening anyway. All I've really got is, what is that, 15 years of experience? Oh. Actually, never mind, that isn't bad. I'm old. But through connections I made from the YouTube channel, I was also able to try out another one of my absolute favorite systems. That is the Thirsty Sword Lesbians by, who makes that? Evil Hat. Evil Hat makes that. And it's a delight. It's a powered by the Apocalypse system, which is, kind of rules light and much more focused on storytelling. But the themes and the flavor and everything is so good and so gay, which, as you know, that's me! Well, the so gay part. I don't know about the good, you all tell me. But it also led me to trying out Call of Cthulhu, finally, which I'd always had a passing interest in doing, because I like trying out new systems. It's fun. Plus, it lets you take things that you learned from those systems and apply them to your own games in systems you're more used to. I would say that the amount of different RPG systems that I've played has absolutely made me a better player and a better DM, so I highly recommend trying as many systems as you get the chance to do. On my list of ones to try currently is still Legend of the Five Rings. I really do want to play that, and honestly, I like Shadowrun a lot, so I'd love to try Cyberpunk Red at some point too. And, I mean, really, I'll try anything I've never played before, with a few minor exceptions. We will not mention them on this channel, which means you probably know the ones. But as for what I'm currently doing, besides YouTube, obviously, on my Discord server, I'm currently running 2 simultaneous campaigns of my Royal Academy of Knights setting. It's a level 1 through level 5 campaign that takes you through the education process of becoming a Royal Knight of Cavalia. It's 2 parties of 4, which is how it's structured, and as soon as they finish, I'm probably just gonna run them again for 2 more parties of 4, because why not? The setting has space for up to 16 groups in terms of like the lore and all of that stuff. And I would love to fill that up with player characters, not just NPCs. I think that'd be a delight. I'm also currently playing in 2 Pathfinder 1st Edition campaigns. One is the Gestalt campaign that Amaranth comes from, which I detailed in a video not too long ago, and the other is a regular Pathfinder 1st Edition campaign that I'm playing Anya, who I also detailed not too long ago. There is a Pathfinder 2nd edition campaign that I'm also in, but it is currently on hiatus as the DM has been dealing with some life stuff and having to figure out exactly where they actually want the game to go. So, there it is. That is as complete a history of my time with TTRPGs as I can recall. I definitely forgot some stuff because, again, memory issues. What can you do? But that hit all the big points. There's been a lot of good, mostly good, very little bad, actually, and I'm happy for that. I've been very lucky to have a consistent group of friends that loves TTRPGs as much as I do and consistently plays them and shows up. It's been a delight. My final parting advice: if you find friends like that, never let go of them. They'll be there for life if you let them. We're all gonna be 60, 80 years old, still playing TTRPGs on our brain computer hologram devices or whatever that crap we have at the time. But now, I want to hear from you. How long have you been playing TTRPGs? What are some of your highlights? What are some of your best memories? Please, tell us, share with everyone. This is the time to dump your story in the comments if you feel like it. You don't have to. What game systems have you played? What game systems would you like to try? Do you have a group of friends that you always play with? Do you have a group of friends that you sometimes play with and you're trying to get to that always status? I've been doing this stuff for going on 15 years, far as I can figure, and it's been a hell of a ride, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like the video if you liked the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet done so, ring that bell notification icon and select all notifications if you want to be notified when I upload new videos, and leave me your comments down in the comments section below. As I mentioned, you can join the FoxyBard Discord server at discord.gg/FoxyBard. Who knows, you might find yourself a spot in the next Royal Academy of Knights campaign. And you can find me on Twitter at thatFoxyBard, and I'm thinking about maybe toying with the possibility of the idea of starting to stream. So if that's something you would like, let me know. If you know a way to get fairly cheap, I don't know, VTuber avatars, also let me know. And a huge shout out to my patrons on patreon.com/FoxyBard. I love you guys so much. I still am in shock sometimes when I think about the fact that there's, 22 of you who are giving me money each month just to make videos like this because you like it. That still blows my mind and really does mean the world to me. Thank you for appreciating what I do and being willing to support me doing it. Okay, wow, I got very sidetracked several times and I've been talking for 28 minutes. Okay, I need water. I've been drinking water this whole time, but I need more water. So let's go ahead and douse the fire and get back to our own adventure. Wait, no, I need that water.